DIY Cooking with Connie. But today I want to talk to you just a little different. You know, you're always getting these calls. Let's do a little short survey. I got one of them last week. I was right in the middle of a Hallmark movie. And this gentleman called. And he says, would you mind doing a little short survey? I said, yeah, sure, let's do it. He said, well, it's on politics. I said, okay, go ahead. So he says, well, to begin with, what do you think about today's world situation? Oh, well, okay, let me give you my opinion. And I said, today's situation is completely different than anyone else has ever seen. I've never seen it in my lifetime. And that's the Corvette, the cor- coronavirus 19. Can't even know what I'm talking about today. And anyway, I said, that is really got everybody's lives changed. And I said, we're trying to get this under control. And the people that are the ages between 20 and 35, and he kind of snickered at me. I said, well, that must be your age. And he said, ma'am, I can't answer those questions. I said, well, this is what I think. I think the men and women that are between 20 and 35 think they're bulletproof. They don't need no protection. It's not just a protection for themselves, it's protection for you, for me, for anyone else, their children. And they either don't wear a mask or they wear it down below their nose. So they're not going to sneeze on nobody. Great. He said, well, ma'am, let's move on. I said, okay. What do you think about politics? I said, well, let me tell you what I think about politics. Well, he said, ma'am, I want to know if you are a Republican or a Democrat. I said, well, this is my opinion. I usually vote for the man that I think can do the job. And in today's world, Democrats is not that person. I don't want to offend anybody out there. But to my opinion, Democrats are acting like these little 8-year-old kids. If you don't play ball the way I want to, I'm taking my ball and I'm going home. So that's my opinion. I think this year it's going to be a Republican. And they've never gave the president any respect. Excuse me, I've got something in the oven I got to check on. Not quite done. So I'm going to set my timer for another couple of minutes. Okay, where was I? Back to the Republicans. And the Democrats is what I was talking about. You know me, the mind kind of gets backtracked. So I said, I'd almost be ashamed to even say I was a Democrat the way they've behaved this year. And I said, if vice versa was done, they'd be the ones throwing the fit. So I kind of base it on how a president that's in office should be respected. I don't care if he's a Democrat or he's Republican. He needs respect. He's our president. So that's the way I feel about it. He said, well, ma'am, he said, let's move on. How are you going to vote? Are you Democrat, Republican, or Independent? I said, well, let me think. I said, well, now, I don't really think I'm Democrat. And sometimes I'm not Republican. Maybe I'm an Independent. Maybe I'm just independent, period. And he said, well, let's just skip that and go on. I said, okay. He says, now how do you get your news? He said, you read it in a paper? You watch it on the television? How do you get your news? I said, sir, I'm from a small community, between 600 and 700 people. There's not a newsstand on every corner. And I said, I spelt my town's name out to him. I said, you want me to spell that for you? He said, no, I think I got it. I said, okay. And I said, I haven't listened to Fox News since I watched it for 30 years. I'm not watching it again. It's depressing. All the news is depressing anymore. Nothing on there about anything good. So I kind of make my own opinion, what I think that person had done. Excuse me one more time, got to check that up. And oh, not quite done. So let's give it a little more time. Now, where was I? Okay. So anyway, we moved on. And I said, I think that's my decision on who I'm going to vote for. I said, I think that's a private thing. Everyone's to their own opinion. So he says, ma'am, just how old are you? I said, well, let's put it this way. I said, I'm between 35 and I'm under 80. And I said, you know better than ask a woman what her age is. I said, that's just like asking her what her weight is. Don't say anything about that either. I just say I'm less than 300 pounds. So anyway, we moved on a little further. He said, well, how much do you make a year? No, you don't ask me that. I said, I just really couldn't tell you. I said, it's just whatever the government sends me. I said, and they don't always send me no money. I said, never get a raise. Now, they vote themselves a raise, but they don't ever vote me one. And if they do, Medicare takes care of it. So, we just kind of, he just kind of listened. So anyway, went on a little further, and he says, ma'am, he says, I appreciate your opinion. I said, I tell you what, anytime you've got a survey, you've got my number, you just call. And he hung up on me, and that's the way that went. So thank you for listening. Hope I didn't offend nobody.